This is the Ward Dispatch. The following report has been assembled from survivor testimony, recovered records, faction broadcasts, and materials officials outside the walls continue to deny. I've been inside the walls for over 10 years, trying to report back on the events and the factions unfolding within. This is the first time any broadcast has ever been able to get past the ward's walls. I need your help to get this broadcast to as many people as possible. I don't know how long I have before this signal is found and intercepted. Listen. Most people outside the military perimeter, they think the ward is a mere prison. That is the first mistake. A prison has guards, rules, someone pretending that order still matters. The ward has walls, and inside those walls, the city has kept going. Sacramento was not destroyed in the traditional sense. It was not wiped from the map by a single bomb or military siege. It became the abomination it is today in stages. First came the secession from the American Empire. Then came the siege that crushed the secession in one move. Then came the aftermath of what do we do with the undesirables. Then came the failures no administration wants attached to its name. The city became impossible to govern, impossible to pacify, and too costly to rebuild. So the solution, it wasn't rescue. It was containment. Walls rose. Access points were sealed. The outside world shunned those left behind. And the city became a life sentence. That is what the ward is. It's not a prison building, not a military base, not a quarantine zone. It is a city prison. An entire urban population trapped behind fortified borders, where release is not a date on a calendar. Release is a rumor. It doesn't exist. It is a life imprisonment. If you're sentenced inside, the punishment is not confinement alone. It is survival. The ward did not freeze in time after the gates closed. That is another mistake the outsiders make. They imagine silence, empty streets, ruins, starving men waiting for the end. Yes, there are ruins. Yes, there is starvation. Yes, there are streets where bodies are left until something worse claims them. But the ward is far from dead. No, after the fall, it adapted. Where official law vanished, other laws replaced it. Where government control failed, factions rose. When the old economy collapsed, new currencies took over. Food, fuel, ammunition, weapons, water, information, fear, and above all, power. Inside the ward, power does not need to be legal. It only needs to be enforceable. That is why Talon's Legion and Rome exist. Talon's Legion is not some old world memory in the ward. It is an answer, a brutal one, where others saw collapse. Talon's Legion saw opportunity. It built discipline where there was panic. It built spectacle where there was despair. It built an empire inside the city prison. And it taught its people that order can still exist, provided they were willing to bend the knee and bleed for it. Look, just understand this. Rome does not ask whether its rule is moral or not. It asks if anyone can stop it. So far, the answer is a seldom yes. But Rome and Talon's Legion are not the only power behind the walls. Then there's Avalon Company. Outsiders often mistake Avalon for a gang. That is too simple. It's so simple, in fact, that it is a gross miscalculation and misrepresentation of what they really are. A gang takes territory. Avalon Company industrializes it. They understand fire better than most, not only as a weapon, but as a resource, a warning, a signature, a business model. In sections of the ward where industry still breathes and chokes, Avalon Company has turned flame into authority. They've become employers, killers, suppliers, arsonists, murderers, businessmen, sometimes all of them within the same hour. Where Rome marches, Avalon burns. And where both fear to linger for too long, the Nightingales move. There are factions that announce themselves with banners. The Nightingales, they're not one of them. They belong to the dark places of the ward, the alleyways, the rooftops, the corridors where a person realizes too late that they are no longer alone. They do not need numbers or morale in the way armies do. All they need is silence, discipline, and victims who never get the chance to explain what hunted them. Inside the ward, people speak of the Nightingales as if they are a rumor, a myth, a conspiracy theory that parents tell their children at night to keep them in line. They're wrong. They're all wrong. The Nightingales are real. I've seen what they can do when they go after their prey. Pray that you or anyone else never becomes one. Then, through all of that, there's the Breedless. Every report concerning them should be read with extreme caution. Not because the accounts are exaggerated, because many of them are incomplete. The witnesses rarely survive long enough to finish their accounts. The Breedless, they are what hunger leaves behind when civilization stops pretending it has limits. They're raiders, scavengers, cannibals, according to multiple accounts. But even that war does not fully explain them. Cannibalism is an act. The Breedless have become a condition. They're a societal collapse that grew teeth, learned to move in packs, and turn ruined districts into feeding grounds. In the ward, there are places that even heavily armed men avoid, not because they're empty, but because they're not empty. Rome, Avalon Company's twin cities, the Nightingales, the Breedless' capital of Argova. These are only the names outsiders may understand at first, but it is far from the full map. And beneath that visible struggle, other systems move. Black markets, smuggling corridors, religious cults, military remnants, hidden alliances, broken families, old loyalties, new betrayals, and in the spaces below the city, in the solitary confinement, something worse is waiting. The ward is not the only dangerous place. People being trapped here does not make this place dangerous. And it makes whatever is stirring and slowly bubbling and oozing to the surface far worse. Because whatever is down there has been there for a very long time, and it's starting to push upward to the surface. Some people call it the Catanether. Most external reports completely avoid the term. Some redact it entirely. Some describe it as some sort of eternal network, an underground territory or subterranean threat environment. Those descriptions are convenient, but they're also completely insufficient. The Catanether is not merely beneath the ward, it is connected to it, integrated under its dark beating heart of a surface. It changes the meaning of the prison city. Because if the ward was built to keep dangerous people in, then the questions become unavoidable. What was already underneath? And who knew? These are the questions that remain open and haunt me at night. Look, what we know is this. The ward is no longer just a place of punishment. In fact, it never was just a place of punishment. It wasn't just some purgatory or hell on earth gone wrong. It is a battlefield of the flesh, the mind, and the soul. Above ground, factions fight for control. Below ground, older forces move through the very darkness they help create. And this is the part that people forget, but it's the most important. Between all of them, are the families still trying to live one more day without becoming property, prey, or propaganda? This is what most reports deliberately exclude as mere footnotes at best. The ward is not only warlords, it's not only killers, it's not only monsters. It's also the civilians, the families, the men, the women, and the children, trapped between powers too large to fight over and too close to ignore. Children born after the walls went up, families who never received a trial, prisoners who became citizens of purgatorial hell on earth, citizens who became prisoners by geography alone. These are people who remember what the city used to be, the former capital of California before its secession and inevitable reclamation by the collective order. For them, the ward is not a concept to read or just a report to listen to. It's the street outside their front door. It is the noise at night. It is the question of who controls the next block and who's coming for the block that they live on next. It's whether the person offering protection is better or worse than the thing they claim to protect you from. This is the true horror of the ward. It's not that law has collapsed, but it's something worse has replaced it. Every faction inside the walls offers an answer. Talon's Legion offers order. Avalon Company offers fire. The Nightingales offer fear. The Breedless offer hunger. The black markets offer access. The cults offer meaning. The underground offers secrets if you're willing to explore and risk your soul to learn them. And the ward itself offers one lesson. Survival is not innocence. Survival is negotiation. Every day, every hour, every step, every thought, every decision. So when outsiders call the ward a prison, you need to understand what they are leaving out. The ward has governments, religions, armies, markets, myths, massacres, heroes. If the ward can still survive here in a place where even angels themselves may fear to tread. And it also offers figures whose names have outgrown the reports written about them. Calexio, Viosum, Leviathan Vermilion, Liege Talon, Godfather Adelmo, Schizo Incisor, Fraulein Syndicate. Others will be addressed in later files. Some of these humans shaped the ward. Others have survived it. A few, they're warnings, if you know how to pay attention. And some may no longer fit any category the outside world has left to define them by. This channel exists because the official record is incomplete. Too many files vanished. Too many witnesses silenced. Too many disasters renamed. Too many atrocities buried behind the phrase security concern. Too many gatekeepers who would see this broadcast silenced because they are terrified of somebody independent not being afraid to speak the truth. The Ward Dispatch will examine what has happened inside the walls, faction by faction, district by district, subject by subject, incident by incident, not to glorify the Ward, not to excuse what's been done here, but to understand what a city becomes when mercy is the first thing that leaves. So, I have to go before this signal is intercepted. What is the Ward? It is America's deadliest city prison. It is a sealed urban life sentence. It is a graveyard that has learned how to politic. It is a war zone with borders. It is proof that abandonment can become architecture, and it is still active and very much alive. The gates remain closed, the factions remain armed, the reports keep coming, and somewhere beneath this city, something is continuing to move. This has been the Ward Dispatch. I am the Observer. Stay out of the dark.